Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we untangle the tricky world of corporate filings. Today we're diving into Surf Air Mobility's latest proxy statement, which might sound dull, but stick around and by the end of this you will be asking yourself, are they taking off or just crash landing? Before we jump in, if you enjoy getting clear explanations from corporate documents, hit that subscribe button. Also, we have a Discord community where you can discuss these topics further. The link is in the description below. A proxy statement is basically a document a company sends to its shareholders before an annual meeting, kind of like a cheat sheet that tells you what's up for vote and what the company recommends. This particular proxy statement is for their annual stockholder meeting, which is happening in June of 2025. The first thing to note is that this is a preliminary proxy statement, meaning the company intends to release the real finished version to stockholders around mid-May of 2025. The annual meeting will be held virtually, which means you can't show up in person. It's all happening online. There are a few important things on the agenda for the meeting. First, they're going to elect 3 Class B directors. Second, they want stockholders to ratify or approve the appointment of their accounting firm, PricewaterhouseCoopers. There's also a proposal to approve a reverse stock split and another to approve an updated equity incentive plan. A reverse stock split might sound complicated, but it is essentially just a maneuver to increase the company's stock price by reducing the number of shares available. More on that later. If you own stock on April 28, 2025, you're eligible to vote. Now let's dive into the election of directors. Surf Air's board is divided into 3 classes, each serving a 3-year term. At this meeting, stockholders will be voting on Class B directors. The nominees are David Anderman, John D'Agostino, and Edward Mady. The board is recommending that you vote for all of them. It's worth knowing a little about these folks. David Anderman has a strong legal and business background. John D'Agostino brings experience in corporate finance, and Edward Mady has a background in hospitality. Governance is key, so let's see what Surf Air focuses on. Under the rules of the New York Stock Exchange, a majority of the board must be independent, meaning they don't have relationships that could cloud their judgment. The company says that most of their directors are independent. Deanna White is currently the CEO and Carl Albert is the chairman of the board. The board is also responsible for keeping an eye on risk, and this is divided up amongst its committees. The Audit Committee oversees financial risk. The Compensation Committee looks at risks related to pay practices. The Audit Committee is made up of Carl Albert, John D'Agostino, and Bruce Hack, and its job is to oversee the company's financial reporting and internal controls, and to make sure they're following the law. The Compensation Committee, comprised of Carl Albert, Bruce Hack, and Edward Mady, is in charge of executive pay. The Nominating and Corporate Governance Committee, made up of Carl Albert, John D'Agostino, and Tyrone Bland, handles director nominations and corporate governance matters. Let's talk about how much the directors get paid. Non-employee directors receive both cash and stock. The annual cash retainer or payment for being on the board is $35,000, but those in leadership positions like committee chairs get more. They also get stock awards with a target grant date fair value of $20,000, $15,500 for annual grants. Here's a snapshot from the director compensation table for fiscal year 2024. Carl Albert earned around $51,000 in fees, with stock awards valued at approximately $80,000. David Anderman made 205 stock awards. Bruce Hack, besides fees and stock, also had option awards valued at almost 13. Shahani's number is inflated because he received over $700,000. Input 8,000 plus stock awards. Bruce Hack, besides fees and stock, also had option awards valued at almost $13,000. It is worth noting that Sudhin Shahani's number is inflated because he received over $700,000. It's worth noting that Sudhin Shahani's number is inflated because he received over $700,000 in compensation and car allowance. It is worth noting that Sudhin Shahani's number is inflated because he received over $700,000 in compensation and car allowance. It is made only for being a non-employee director. Now onto the executive team, the key players running the company. As of May 2025, Deanna White serves as CEO and Chief Operating Officer, and Oliver Reeves is the Chief Financial Officer. Let's look at what the top executives are making. Deanna White's total compensation for 2024 was $984,646. Oliver Reeves, the CFO, made nearly $2 million, mostly because of option awards. Stan Little, the former CEO, made over $1.2 million. Looking at what they have in unexercised options and unvested stock, Deanna White has some options at exercise prices that vary from $3.68 to $40. Stan Little has many restricted stock units with different vesting schedules and performance goals. Surf Air uses equity incentive plans to attract, motivate, and retain its team. As of the end of 2024, they have about 3.5 million securities for issuance, weighted average strike price of $7.80 and 0 available to be issued, showing they are completely out of shares. That's why they want your vote to create more. The audit committee reviews the company's financial statements and recommends to the board if they should be included in the annual report. Time for some accounting talk. The company is asking stockholders to approve PricewaterhouseCoopers LLP and TPAS LLP. It's interesting to note that the company only paid them $1,755 for their services for the year 2024. This is a big one, a potential reverse stock split. The board wants the power to combine outstanding shares of common stock at a ratio between 2:1 and 5:1. Why? To boost the stock price and stay listed on the New York Stock Exchange. If a company's stock price falls below $1 for too long, the NYC can delist it. They may decide to implement it or not. A reverse stock split isn't a guaranteed fix, and it could make the stock less liquid, but the board thinks it's worth a shot to stay on the NYS. The board wants to give itself the freedom to decide at a later time, before December 31, 2025, the correct ratio for the split so that it can adapt to ever-changing circumstances. This chart summarizes the effect if they do a reverse split and how many shares there would be after the split. There are tax implications to the reverse stock split, so make sure to consult a tax advisor. The board also wants stockholder approval for an amended and restated equity incentive plan. They need to increase the shares available by 3,500,000. Without it, they may not be able to attract and retain talented employees. The company's average burn rate is 12%, and with the increased shares, the overhang goes to almost 45%. Here are some of the dealings between Surf Air and its insiders. There are loans and leases involving entities tied to Liam Fayed, an officer of Surf Air Global Limited. David Anderman has a consulting gig through his LLC. Then there are leases with Schumann Aviation. In short, there are quite a few financial connections between the company and its executives and board members. Finally, Surf Air's annual report is available online to Kid now. Looking at these filings more broadly, Surf Air Mobility faces some challenges. The company needs the reverse stock split to maintain its listing, which raises some concerns about long-term value. It seems that the equity plan is needed to pay and retain employees as they are currently completely out of shares. Without this, it could create even more challenges. The dealings with related parties can also create some conflicts. What do you think about this situation? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps. And subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.